Hello everyone, my name is Carolyn. I'll be taking you through one of the most exciting and innovative areas of Epcot. Here in our living laboratory, scientists from Epcot, Department of Agriculture, NASA, and Nestle are exploring innovative and sustainable methods of food production. You'll see some of the world's most important food crops right here in our Tropic Greenhouse. What you will not see is regular soil or dirt. We're growing our crops in sterilized sand using an advanced drip irrigation system to provide the nutrients. This is one of the ways that we're using natural resources while preserving the environment. Rice is an essential food source for more than half the world's population. To the chairs on your right, we're exploring ways to grow rice more productively. We're growing rice and peanuts in the same place, but not at the same time. After the harvest, we'll switch locations. The peanuts will leave nitrogen, a natural fertilizer in the sand for the following year's rice crops. This is called crop rotation. Now farmers use this method, and you can do the same if you have a garden at home. Bananas, which are raised in the tropics, are one of the world's most popular fruits. We eat bananas as a snack food. They're very high in starch and vitamin content. This makes them a staple food source in some tropical countries. When I mention farming, you probably don't think of fish, but through fish farming or aquaculture, we can produce tons of fish in small areas like our aqua cell. Systems like these tanks allow us to raise fish in the harshest climate and maybe someday even the desert. The cover over the aqua cell cuts down on stress level of the fish by reducing the growth of algae in the water. The American alligator is no longer on the endangered species list. That's because we have over 1 million here in Florida. Some are raised on farms where they're hide and meat. Others play a key role in wetland conservation. We can produce about 6,500 pounds of fish in our aqua cells in a year. The use of aquaculture is growing rapidly around the world, and with techniques like these, we can feed a hungry world and not endanger marine populations. Here in our Temperate Greenhouse, a computer-controlled drip irrigation system is used to deliver just the right amount of water and nutrients to the roots of the plants in the black foods in the sand. Growing plants without soil is called hydroponics. Now when you buy fertilizer, nitrogen is what you're really paying for. We use intercropping as a way to save on the amount of fertilizer used here at the land. For example, the clover up ahead is a legume, and that means it takes nitrogen from the air and converts it to natural fertilizer. The sorghum that's growing with the clover receives free nitrogen fertilizer through intercropping. This saves resources and money. In our production greenhouse, you see our vertical and spin gardens. By growing our vegetables vertically, we're able to grow more food in less space. Vertical growing also allows for better airflow to the leaves of the plants, and this helps prevent disease. This lettuce is actually floating on a solution of water and nutrients. The oxygen is supplied through tubes that run underneath the styrofoam. We're able to reduce the amount of water and nutrients used in our greenhouses by 70% by using a computer-controlled device that was developed here at the land. This device senses when plants need watering and waters them automatically. Each year, pests destroy about 1/3 of the world's food crops. Our first line of defense is to grow plants that are disease-resistant, like eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes. Here at the land, we use integrated pest management. We release natural predators like ladybugs and wasps, and they control aphids and other plant-eating insects. This helps reduce the use of pesticides by 60%. Here in our creative greenhouse, the aprons on either side of the boat can hold up to 700 plants each. If you lay them out flat, you'd only be able to grow around 100 in the same amount of space. And speaking of space, our column house can hold up to 36 plants when they're watered from the top down. Our plants with exposed roots get plenty of oxygen from the air, so the water and nutrients that they need are sprayed on as they pass through the mist boxes, and this is called aeroponics. In our lab, Epcot scientists and the Department of Agriculture are developing better plants through biotechnology. Now, some of the vegetables that you've seen growing here in our greenhouses are served in our Sunshine Season food fair and garden grill restaurants right here in the land. There's so much that we can learn through science and nature about living with the land. What you've just seen in our laboratories today is only part of the story. Once the crops have been harvested, they need to be handled with care as they make their journey from the field to your table. Around the globe, Nestle and other organizations are dedicated to improving the taste and quality of the foods that you and I enjoy and rely on. Working together, we can preserve the land as a precious and beautiful resource and still meet the needs of a growing world. Only then will we truly be living with the land. Now, if you'd like to take a closer look at our greenhouses, we invite you to take the walking greenhouse tour. You can sign up at the Green Thumb Emporium. That's our merchandise shop, and it's located just past the Food Rocks Theater. Food Rocks is one of the two shows that we have here at the Land. It's an animatronic all-star musical benefit for good nutrition. Up on the second landing, it's a Circle of Life, an environmental table, and it stars some of your favorite characters from the Lion King movie.
I'm actually doing an internship here, so half time I work on bugs, half time I work on plants, so I kind of should have a pretty good handle on everything. I just graduated from University of Illinois, which is in Champaign, Illinois, if that means anything to anybody. I actually got a degree in entomology, and it's a really small field. At my school, I was one of 7 people to ever major in entomology as an undergrad, and the 3rd to ever graduate in it. So there's not many of us around.
Wow.
So I guess you're lucky to have me as tour guide.
I think so. I think that's cool. It's nice to be in a field where it's not clogged with people.
And this is definitely one that isn't. Let's say that. And so, anyway, and so I'm going to be taking you on the tour. If I drop into dorky bug terms along the way, make sure you stop me. I don't want to confuse anybody. Or if you have any questions about anything, if I don't clarify anything or I don't cover something, make sure you ask me about it. If you have cameras, I know some of you have cameras, you're welcome to take pictures of absolutely anything. I'm very photogenic, and I'm willing to be in your pictures if you want me to, but I don't have to. That's fine too, whatever you'd like. Okay, are there any questions to start out here? Okay, we use cinnamon oil here, which shows a lot of insects. We also use neem oil, which comes from a neem tree, and I'll point that out later on the tour. So we try to use more natural things. But the next stuff is the really cool stuff. And this is biological control. So this is basically nature taking care of nature for us. So right here, this is an aphid, and this is actually a fungus. It forms on the aphid and kills the aphids for us. Pretty gruesome, but it works really well. Down here is more gruesome, I think. This is a wasp right here, and this wasp will actually come and lay its egg inside the aphids, and the egg will hatch and eat its way out of the aphid. It's kind of like Alien movie, pretty gross and disgusting. Not something I want to happen to me, but it works really well for those guys. Now up here, this is a nematode, and a nematode is a microscopic little worm, smaller than that. That lives in, this particular one lives in our sand. Now this is a root knot nematode, and this is the effect it has to the roots of our plants. You can see it causes these big galls on the roots to prevent the uptake of water, and so it kills our plants. So this is a bad guy. Now you can see all these little dots on there. All those little dots are actually bacteria. There's bacteria penetrans here that we intentionally put into our sand. We introduced that bacteria to actually kill the nematode. So in this case, the bacteria is a good guy. So that's good. All right, we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to buzz over here. Now, are there any questions as of this point? Okay. Well, now we're going to watch this video here. This video is a lot of stuff that I work on every day. So this is how I spend my 2 to 3 hours in this lab daily. So I'll talk you through it so there's no sound. I tell you, it's not highest quality laziness, but that's right. There we go. Okay. Now this right here is a green peach aphid. Now you can see with aphid as this feeding tube there, which is a hypodermic syringe. It sticks it right in the plant, sucks out the juices, and if it moves to another plant, it can really easily spread virus. So that's a bad guy. Right here, though, is a good guy. This is the green lacewing. Now the green lacewing lays eggs on the end of stalk. You see the next shot there, to prevent them from other things from coming and eating it. You'll see when hatching here in a second, I think it's really cute. Isn't it darling? Yeah. Anyway, and so this is a little tiny lacewing coming out of its egg. It hardens up in a second here, and now it's going out looking for food. Now in this video, the first thing it finds is one of these green peach aphids. Now it goes right up to the aphid and sticks its mandibles in and sucks out all the juices. making these little aphid raisins down here. No. It's a great line. Anyway, you can see this bubble up here, and that bubble is actually an alarm pheromone. So it's trying to tell the other aphids, run away, there's danger here. But the aphids are really dumb. And so they don't run away, so bad for them, good for us. So it works out. Now this right here is an immature whitefly. Now the immature form is a scale insect. So it sticks right to the surface of the plant. It has a protective covering, which makes it really hard to, I'll talk about that in a second, really hard to get to. These guys can stick their mandibles in and suck them out like an oyster. So they're real good for them. But actually with these lacewings, those little guys, I'll talk about this in a second, I release those every week. And once I release them, they crawl all up and down my arms, and they crawl into my wounds, and they bite me, and they're mean little buggers. But they really get the job done. So, they're good. Anyway, back to this right here. This is actually a leaf miner fly. Now what she's doing right here is she's actually cutting a hole between the layers of the leaf and laying an egg in there. So you can see the egg going in right there. I don't know how they get these shots. But anyway, so she's laying the egg in there, and then afterwards she goes back and she gets a little bit of the fluid from the plant because it is such an energy-consuming and time-consuming process. But anyway, so back to the egg here. The egg hatches, and this is what we get. We get this little larvae. Now the larvae is crawling between the layers of the leaf there, and the next shot right here, you see it has this chisel-like mouth part. It's actually chiseling away at the inside of that leaf, knocking away the cells, which obviously isn't much fun for the leaf. So it causes a lot of damage, and here's an example of that damage. This is actually 8 days worth of leaf miner damage condensed into about 20 seconds. So I'll just let you watch this. Now as you can see, the leaf miners are a bad guy. They pretty much tear everything up. And that's our bad guy right there, that yellow blob. And so, in order to control that bad guy, we have our good guy right here. This is an opious wasp. Now this wasp, just like the wasp we saw on the board before, it lays its egg right inside that leaf miner, and that's what she's doing right now. But the egg doesn't hatch right away. The egg will actually stay dormant temporarily. And the leaf miner will continue with normal life cycle. So it'll grow to be full size, it'll cut a hole in the bottom of the leaf and drop to the ground. You'll see that in a second here. Now once it hits the ground, it'll kind of bury itself down a little bit, and then it'll form a cocoon. Just like a butterfly, it's then emerge as an adult fly. However, once it forms this cocoon, that's the sign to the wasp egg to hatch. Then the wasp egg will hatch, the wasp larvae will come out and actually eat out the inside of the fly, and then use the fly's cocoon as its own cocoon and emerge as an adult wasp. And that's what we have right here. So again, not something I want to happen to me, but it's really incredible. Maybe we should tell him about a guy, but I think that's really neat. But anyway, you lose a little bit of perspective as the size of these guys when you're watching the video. So in actuality, these guys are about the size of a small house cat. So you can kind of put that in perspective there. Okay, maybe not. Actually, I had a group the other day that believed me. And they just kind of went on and like, yeah. And later on, someone's like, those are really big insects, aren't they? No, I was lying. I'm sorry. Anyway, but no, these guys are really, really tiny little guys. And we actually have some over here on your left. If you look at these cages here, on the leaves you can see there's little tiny black guys in it. Those are the little black flies. Now, I raise these lima bean plants. We put the lima bean plants in there with the flies for 1 day, and the flies lay their eggs. And then we take the plants back to our greenhouses out back and let them develop for 6 days. Then we take them over here to my left. This is David. He's my supervisor. He's going to help me with some of this stuff today. Now, then we put them over here in these cages. These ones actually have the wasps in them. The wasps, again, are little tiny black flying insects. You can see them flying around. You can see them on the leaves as well. You can see on these leaves the damages leaf miners have done. Now, after we put them in there for 1 day, we take them over to these big funnels. Now you saw in the video how they cut a hole in the bottom of the leaf and drop to the ground. They do the same thing here. They cut a hole in the bottom of the leaf, and they drop out, and this is actually clogged here. Alright. Now, then they drop down this funnel, and right about here is actually an infrared sensor. And every time one passes by, the computer counts it, and that's what the beep is. I don't know if anyone's heard the beep that's been going on. And so, it counts up how many are in there. And then once it's 200 in one of those little cups, it'll forward. I mean, that's what some of you heard before when it was, the whole thing was moving down there. It was moving to the next cups, it got up to 200. So the finished product here, well, these are mostly dead. There's still a few more wasps in here. If you want to, you guys can pass this around here. We get these cups of 200 wasps. Now we release some of them at the land to control our problems. We send them send most of them out to the parks. And we send them out, these things will look amazingly like egg cartons here. Now this particular one is going to go to the Magic Kingdom the Wilderness Lodge, the Grand Floridian, the Contemporary, and the Polynesian. So really these wasps are going to all the resorts, all the parks, and it's really pretty cool. I feel like I'm really doing something worthwhile. We make about 10,000 a week in this laboratory. So it's pretty cool. So are there any questions on that? Yeah, well, on that one, that projector is actually broken, and so it doesn't actually forward. And so what we have to do is we take that cup and we kind of eyeball it about 200 per cup at the end of the day.
How do you see 200 of those in the cup? And you know how high it goes for 200.
Well, actually, 200 doesn't really cover the bottom of the cup very well. So yeah, so it's not exact science.
After a while, you kind of know. It's like a housewife knows what's in every cup or something.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's keep on going on here. So I'm gonna head back this way here. And if you have any more questions about these particular insects or any other insects along the way, you're welcome to come stop me. I'll tell you more about this. Right now we're going to gather kind of right back out there where we started on that main hallway there. And I'll be right behind here. And our next stop here is going to be our Biotechnology Lab. Now in our Biotechnology Lab we practice biotechnology. This is here, not surprising. Now, biotechnology is taking a piece of one plant and you put it into another plant. Now some of the research I've worked on is we took a thornless gene and we put it into blackberries. Now by doing that you get the exact same blackberries but you lose a lot less blood when you're picking them. So I think it's pretty good research. It turned out pretty well. Some of the research we're working on here is actually trying to dwarf pear trees. Now pear trees are tall. I always run into this thing. So pear trees are tall and a lot of people aren't. So what we're trying to do is try and take those pear trees and shrink them down a little bit but keep just as much branching. So by doing that you get just as much food in less space, easier to pick, faster to grow, and prices should theoretically go down. So
Genetically? I mean, genetically dwarfed.
Without grafting?
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm asking.
yeah.
Okay.
And so we're actually working on that research in here right now with the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay. Now, one of the big tools of biotechnology is tissue culture. Now, tissue culture is taking a piece of a plant, it could be a root, stem, leaf, whatever, and you put it into a growth medium that has everything that plant needs to grow. So it has the carbohydrates, the nutrients, the sugar, I already said sugar, anyway, whatever. And from that, it'll recreate an entirely new plant. Now, it's incredibly useful for things like these bananas here. Bananas we eat every day are seedless, and so it's real hard to get a whole bunch of new banana plants out running. And so what we can do is we just take a whole bunch of cuttings off one plant, and we can really easily get a whole army of new plants really fast. So it's a real effective tool. It's real nice. My boss would say this is how we get banana shakes, but I've never said anything that corny. So anyway, I won't go there.
Just did.
That's all right. Anyway, now if you guys are really interested in biotechnology and you're thinking, man, I would love to take some biotechnology home with me. Well, we have these things here, the Mickey's Mini Gardens. Have you guys seen those? They're really neat, I think. But what they are is they're actually little plants that are being raised in tissue culture. Now, there's one of the interns here. I don't see her in there. Jocelyn, that's her job. That she actually makes all those Mickey's Mini Gardens right here in this lab. But there's a lot of neat stuff. Like right here, we have pineapple growing. So you could be the first person on your block to be growing a pineapple plant. It'd be pretty cool. But there's a lot of neat stuff. Anyway, I don't want to push that on anybody, but I think they're kind of neat. And they'll travel internationally if you so desire, because they're sealed in a totally sterile environment. So send one to your friend in Britain. Anyway, so I think it's kind of neat. But anyway, are there any questions here? Okay.
Yeah, well, my thornless boysenberries reverted to thorned.
That's a problem with random mutation like that. They can just kind of head back.
They headed back 2 years after I planted them. They headed back, and all the new ones come up thorned now.
Yeah, and they hurt.
Oh, they're vicious.
It's no fun at all. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't my fault. I take no responsibility for that. But anyway, so we're going to continue on here. So now we're actually going to get out into the greenhouse. See some exciting stuff, see some plants. Not as exciting as the bugs, but nothing's exciting as bugs. That's right.
What would you have?
Anyway, so in the greenhouses, there's two rules. They're really easy rules. The first rule is we have to stay on the concrete, which is really easy to do. The second rule is that we ask you please don't touch the plants. Now the reason for that is that we don't want to bring anything new into our greenhouses. And the second thing is that there might be some pesticide residue on the plants, and we don't want to get that on your hands, so it'll make the food taste gross. And we get gross tasting food at Disney. So, okay. All right. And there's a band getting ready, okay? All right. We can all kind of gather in that area right there. Okay, now in here, this is our creative greenhouse. Now the idea here is, before I was talking about growing plants in new and exciting ways, all right, to come up with more food in the future. Well, in here, these are new and exciting ways to grow food. Now the ideas and ways for growing food in this greenhouse are not something you can really use in a commercial setting. So you really couldn't make money growing food this way. But by having food, but by having these ways that don't necessarily work, it could lead us to something that will. So that's what we're going to see in our next greenhouses. Some of these ideas take it to the next level. Now, I don't really worry too much about the theory in here. What I really like is the fact that there are inanimate objects that are moving. It really excites me. So these plants that are on this conveyor are great.
How old is a plant like this?
Let's see, the date should be on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of the smaller ones. So this was, this one was planted January 2nd then. Because there's two different sizes of them.
See the squash flowers? Where we live in Rhode Island, this is a plant where they actually take the flower and deep fry it.
Actually, I tried one of these flowers fresh the other day and it was pretty good. But I've heard other people say that you can deep fry them as well. I tend to try it someday. So I'll let you know. If you guys come back, I'll deep fry some of these things and I'll tell you how they are.
They're supposed to be pretty tasty.
Yeah, well, it didn't taste like much, which is fresh. But I don't know, maybe it's better deep fried. But we'll see. I'll find out. Now, this squash conveyor here is growing hydroponically. All these squash are hydroponics, which means they're growing without soil. And this is actually a special branch of hydroponics called aeroponics, which means they're growing with nothing under them at all. So if you want to, you can come up and look down in here. You can see the roots just hang down, or you can look across, or just wave me. The roots are just hanging right in there. Now the way they get their nutrients is we have these little mist sprayers over here, which aren't very exciting. But it sprays a mist of nutrient-rich solution directly onto these roots. So the plants get everything they need to grow right from there. So that's the water and the nutrients right there. Now a lot of people, when I ask them about it, like, well, plants need soil to grow. Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. But what the soil provides the nutrients which they get from there, and the soil provides support which they get from these metal poles here. Now, on this leaf here, there's a question about what this stuff is. And this is actually from the leaf miners. Or not, excuse me, the lacewings. When I bring the lacewings out, they come in a little container and I have to tap them out onto there. And that's some of the lacewing food that comes with it. So that's part of our IPM program there. Okay? Are there more questions about the squash? Okay, then we're going to take a step back from aeroponics to talk about the coolest plant in the whole greenhouse, at least in my opinion. That's this right here, sensitive plant. Now, yeah, what's cool about sensitive plant is that, like the squash, it moves. So, obviously it excites me a lot. But what's also cool about it is that you guys can touch this one. This is one plant you get to touch, so if you guys want to come up and open this one, you're welcome to. Or not, you don't have to. But.
How long does it take for it to open back up?
It'll take about 10-15 minutes for it to open back up. Now, the theory on why it closes up like that is that if an insect was to come land on the leaf and it closes up, the insect would just fall off and it couldn't eat the plant. But I don't really care about the theory. I just like the fact it moves. So I brought one of these home the other day and I play with it all the time. I think it's great. Yeah, actually we change this plant out periodically because it gets a little overworked. Oh, it's a great plant. And just so you know, I was reading an article about it, and this plant actually uses adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is the same thing that humans use in muscle contraction. So this actually uses that to close up. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, all right, we're going to come back on the way back so we can play with this again on the way back. So it'll be all good. But anyway, I guess we should talk about aeroponics some more here. Now right here, this is another system of aeroponics. Now, breaking my way through here. Right here, this is a hollow PVC pipe. Now, there's always little holes inside here, like this one, and that's what we plant our plants into. Now, the plants are raised in rock wool. Rock wool is volcanic rock. You heat it up real hot, you kind of spin it, and make these little cubes. It's kind of like insulation in your house, sort of. So we raise our plants in there, and we stick them right in these holes, and the roots just hang down the middle. Actually, I saw one of these things coming out the other day, just a big mass of roots in the middle, solid. Now, up at the top there, it's hard to see, but there's a dripper. And that dripper will drip the nutrient solution down through the middle of this pot here to take care of all these plants in the system. Now for this set of column pots here, the water is actually recycled. So everything that flows down to the bottom is pumped back up and dropped through again. Now we used to do that for the whole greenhouse, and then we got a virus and everything died. So we don't do that anymore. But we do still do it for this set of column pots. It's a more environmentally friendly thing to do. So.
More hardy variety too. They'll take any.
So, yeah, so anyways, this is neat stuff. Yeah, make sure, as we're passing by there, if you want to get a last poke at it before we come back in 40 minutes. Now you can see some of our spices we're growing here. We got rosemary and parsley, smaller rosemary, little tiny tomatoes, peppermint, basil, sage. Skipped over little peppers. So all this stuff here actually goes to the Garden Grill restaurant here at the Land, as well as some of the restaurants in the international area here at Epcot. So they really do use this stuff, so it's kind of cool. We're going to skip over this stuff. We'll come back to that, so don't worry about that too much. Now right here is our last system of aeroponics I'm going to talk about. And this is our A-frame. Now this is just styrofoam here. These plants are planted in little holes like that. And the roots all just hang down the middle and sprays the mist up onto them. People on the boats are so friendly, actually. Anyway, but on this A-frame you can plant 700 plants from the ground. You can plant about 100. So you get a lot more food in less space, which is really important for feeding everybody in the future. So anyway, that's a big theory then. And here's some of our smaller squash plants that are eventually going to head over to the conveyor belt. We're going to continue on. This is our production greenhouse, also known as our string greenhouse, because we're not very creative on names and there have to be a lot of strings in here. Now, in here are a lot of ideas that are kind of based on things we saw in the creative greenhouse. But everything that's growing how it is in here is actually used in commercial greenhouses today. So these are all things that are really used by farmers now. Now our first crop here is our wax gourd. Now you can see it's starting to come up here to the top and then spreading over. And you can see some of these fruits starting to form. There's a little one right here. There's a bigger one back here. I guess you can kind of see it. Way back there in the middle. Yeah, it's starting to get pretty good size. Now these things can get up to about 50 pounds, more or less. We had one of those 54 on the last crop. And to give you an idea, this one right here is probably about 30. So they can get a lot bigger than that. a lot bigger. Now you can see they're just forming right here. They're going to form right above our heads. So we tie them with a rope so that they don't fall down and kill us. But they're a really great crop. Now, across the way over there, there's smaller wax gourds. When they grow up and actually form fruit, they're going to be white. And they're going to be kind of more shaped like that, sort of. So it'd be a good reason to come back in a couple months. You can see our other neato wax gourds over there. It's pretty cool. Now, people always ask if this is edible. And unlike the deep-fried squash things over there, I have tried these. Now, I tried these in 3 different ways. The first way I tried it was wax gourd soup, and it tasted like chicken broth because we put chicken broth in there. The second way I had it was wax gourd candy, and it tasted like sugar. And the third way I had it was fresh wax gourd, and fresh wax gourd tastes like watermelon without the flavor. So anyway, I don't know. I don't have much positive to say about the wax gourd fruit itself, but it does look really neat, so I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Okay? Alright, so let's move on. Not much. And actually, the inside is just, it's kind of a whitish color, so you don't even get pigments for anti-cancer stuff. It's just kind of, people really do eat it though, but we just grow it because it looks cool. I don't know why other people eat it, but they do. But anyway, if you're wondering about these white bags here, this is what's inside the white bag. I cut these holes myself. They're really beautiful, I think. Anyway, this is perlite, and that's another type of volcanic rock. It heat up real hot and it kind of pops. So that's what's filled up the bags. And then we raise our plants in these little cups, and this is about 5% soil, peated soil, and then the rest of it's just perlite. So we raise our plants in this, makes a little plug, we pull it out, and we stick it right in the bag. So you can see right there, that's what stuff is on top. But there's a little bit of vermiculite on top of that one as well. But otherwise it just is like that, so it's not soil or anything, just in case you're wondering. And these bags cost about $3, $3.50 each. And so it's real cheap to have a bag like that, and that'll last us, we use it for 1 crop. In some places they'll use it for up to 2 or 3 crops and then throw it away. Or you can just take it and pop it open and spread the perlite over farmland or something. So it's a great crop there. Over here are little tiny cherry tomatoes. There's eggplant over there. And right here's a really neat way to grow our lettuce. Now right here we're growing 2 different types of lettuce. This is red Lola lettuce and that's Viv lettuce. And it's put in this little styrofoam here. And underneath it is just a nutrient solution. You can see it's just floating on top of there. Now there's a bubbler under there to keep the oxygen in the water so the plants don't drown. Otherwise they just float there. Now, over here you can see, this is slightly older. Now if you look across here you can see it better. But the lettuce really doesn't get very tall. I mean, we're going to harvest that lettuce over there on Wednesday. We harvest one of these every week, so Wednesday that's going to be it. And you know, it doesn't really take up any space. And so all the area above that's wasted. So what we do is we have these A-frames here. Now by having the A-frame here, we can put all that vertical space to use. And so we use a system called intercropping, so having 2 or more crops in the same space. You know, in this case, we're planting our Malabar there. Now, this Malabar, you never heard of Malabar? One person over there, yeah. It's a real interesting crop. It's got a lot of good uses. One of the uses, these green leaves down here, you can put in a salad. They're kind of similar to spinach. You can use the tips like asparagus. But the greatest thing about it, oh, it's gone. There are these berries. It has these really great berries. They're actually used as a natural dye. But they have this real bright, vibrant, purple, reddish color. It's really great color. I would smush it on my hands, and my hands would be purple for days, but it's really great stuff. It actually goes into lipstick. So, anyway, so it's a pretty neat crop. So you can make your own lipstick by growing Malabar at home. So, it's pretty cool. Yeah, but unfortunately I don't have any berries, so I can't make my hand purple. So, I'm sorry. Anyway, we'll continue on here. You can see our big cherry tomatoes over here, which are growing way too fast, I tell you. I have to go back in and take care of those again. Right, tomorrow. And over here is a really neat system. This right here is our vertigrow system. Now, the reason I really like the system is it moves. Because, you know, it really excites me a lot. But it's actually a really good system other than the fact it moves. What this is these are just hollow styrofoam pots. If you'd like to come take a look at them, not very exciting. Down the bottom, there's a whole bunch of holes there. And up at the top, we have a dripper. Now this dripper just drips nutrient solution down, it goes through the holes, and takes care of all the plants in this tower. So it's not much setup, really easy to take care of. Now, other than the fact it moves, other benefits, so you get good airflow between the plants. It's really easy to scout out a problem. You know, like we were talking about before, you can really see it easily, really easy to pick these guys, really see the crops, and they move. And I just love it, it makes me happy. And so it's a real good way to grow our crops that way. Now this system was actually invented for strawberries, but we're using it for this, and it can be used for a lot of things. But we actually met the inventor the other day. He's a real nice guy. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But in case you're wondering, these are Hungarian hot wax peppers, which doesn't say there, but it's pepper. These are Hungarian hot wax peppers.
Doesn't say how.
Oh, it does say Hungarian. Ah, oh my gosh darn.
It's not along the tool back there.
Yeah, that's actually a new sign. I was really excited. He used to say...
You know peppers here doesn't say anything.
And so people always ask if these are hot, and I didn't try some because black pepper makes me cry, and so I whipped out on it.
They're mild hot.
Yeah, so I don't know. A lot of the other interns tried them. Yeah, I said they were pretty mild too. But our greenhouse manager about died when we tried them, so I guess he's not used to spicy stuff. But anyway, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, unfortunately you can't try any of our food today. Alright, as you're walking in here, we have some water over here if you'd like some water. Then you can go ahead and have a seat here, and I'll babble at you while you're sitting. Okay, in here is our Temperate Greenhouse. And it really makes me feel close to home because we have some corn over there. And as some of our Illinois residents can probably tell you, that's most of what there is in Illinois. So makes me feel real nice. But anyway, we haven't gotten there yet. I can talk about some of the other crops here. Our first crop I'm talking about right here is sorghum. Now, does anyone know what we get from sorghum? What? We get molasses. It's one big thing. It also goes into chewing gum. It's the 4th largest grain crop harvested worldwide. It can make a wheat substitute. It's fed to a lot of farm animals, so it's a real worthwhile crop. And I don't know if anyone's ever been out west when it's starting to change colors. Later on when it's about to harvest. But there's huge fields of when it's kind of green, and then there's orange and yellow, and it's beautiful. Just anyway, that's right. But anyway, so planted with this sorghum, we're intercropping the clover. So again, 2 or more crops in the same space. Now what this clover is a legume. So it takes nitrogen out of the air and puts it down in the soil where the plants can use it. So while the sorghum is using up the nitrogen, clover is naturally putting it back in. So kind of a natural fertilizer, so to speak. Now, it's a real important reason we do this is that for a lot of areas, you can grow crops on a field for 6 years, then you have to leave the field sit for a couple years to get the nutrients back in. By doing it this way, it keeps some of those nutrients naturally in the soil to keep the ground usable for growing food in, so we can make sure we feed everybody. So anyway, so it's a real nice way to grow stuff. Works pretty well. It's kind of even different crops. All right, now sit right there.
Over my lawn.
Now, what is this stuff? Right, cotton. And this is not a trick question. What color is this cotton? White. Right. You would not believe some of the answers I got in there. So if you like to hold some cotton, feel some cotton, take some home, you can pass that along there. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'd never really seen cotton before I came here, so it's pretty exciting for me. Now, as we said, that's white cotton. Now, cotton was not originally white. It was bred to be white because it's so easy to dye that way. But originally, and still today, cotton comes in a wide variety of colors. I've seen some browns, green cotton. I've heard it comes in pink. Supposedly it comes in mauve. Great color. And there's been a lot of research to try and get blue cotton. What would be an excellent use for blue cotton? Blue jeans, right. Good call. If we can naturally have blue cotton, we wouldn't have to dye blue jeans. And since 4 people on this tour have to be wearing, well, I don't know if it's blue jeans, but yeah, blue cotton. But a lot of people wear those every day, so there'd be less of that dye going into the groundwater and be a lot better for everybody. And I don't know about you guys, but I think blue nature is really cool. I mean, whether it's blue plants or blue butterflies or blue raspberry candy, you know, whatever it is, I'm all for it. So, nice, good stuff. Anyway, so I can throw the sucker back here.
Yeah. Grow blue and green eggs.
What about ham?
Nah, that gets it out naturally. No, chickens like blue and green eggs.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. Certain species of chicken, you know.
I gotta get some. That'd be cool.
Yeah, they
That'd
are.
make my day. Alright. Anyway, now I'm gonna think about blue eggs, but I'll think about the tour here. But over here you can see some of our short little cotton plants there. Here's some of our bigger cotton plants, and you can see some of the bulbs are starting to burst open. And here's the rest of our cotton plants. There's a lot of cotton in here right now. You can see this is actually all busted open, the cotton's all hanging out there. That's pretty cool. Over here are scarlet emperor runner beans. I love these flowers. The flowers are just absolutely gorgeous on these guys. But what we're trying to show here is the way we're growing these. Now, which is on this, kind of hard to see since they're growing up so well. But there's this 3 pieces of bamboo planted in a teepee-like formation. Now, by growing our plants up like that, it keeps the plants off the ground. There's better airflow, just like in the vertigrow. If you prune off some of these lower things down here, it won't produce fruit down there, so that rodents won't come in and eat your fruit. So that'll be good. But it's really easy to pick these guys, really easy to scout out problems. And, you know, again, it just looks kind of interesting. So you can be the first person on your block to have your plants planted in a teepee-like formation and a pineapple plant that you grew from tissue culture. So it'd be pretty exciting. It'd be a talk of the town.
What kind of beans are they?
These are scarlet emperor runner beans.
Garter snakes would love it.
They hang down in the bean.
Really?
Yeah, when you pick it in, they look like that.
That's good. Alright, so as I said, there's the corn. Corn. And right here we have our sweet potatoes. You guys like sweet potatoes? Now, I think sweet potatoes are alright, but I would not eat these particular ones. This variety is actually an ornamental variety. And we dug up some of these tubers right before I got here. That's not them, that's something else. But there's green, bulbous, nasty, anyway, really gross looking things. So I wouldn't eat these, but you could. They're edible, but anyway, the idea we're trying to show here with this hillside of sweet potato is the idea of preventing erosion. Now, erosion happens when rain starts up way up here, and as it's falling down, it gets going really fast, hits the soil, knocks the soil loose and washes it away. Now, imagine this hillside here. We're not going to plant any crops on the hillside, but we want to protect our soil. Now, by planting a sweet potato on here, when the rain comes down, it's going really, really fast. It hits the plant first, which slows it down a lot. So by the time it hits the soil, it isn't going so fast, so it doesn't knock as much away. So it can help us protect our soil for when we're going to need it later on. So anyway, yeah, it looks pretty cool. I really like this crop. My dad said we used to actually have this planted in my yard when I was little, but I don't know. But you'll see this all around the park, so you can keep an eye out and say, I know all about that sweet potato, and I know why it could be there. Well, or not. Anyway, now for those things there, does anyone know what those are? No, those are Casa Banana. Has anyone ever heard of Casa Banana? No, I've only had one person that's ever heard of Casa Banana, so you can follow me along here. Now, Casa Banana is a fruit, and this is it growing right here, this viney thing here. Now, it's grown in a lot of tropical areas, it's grown a lot in the Caribbean, and you can eat it as a fresh fruit, but it's also used to have medicinal purposes. Supposedly, if you take it and soak it overnight in water and drink it, it's supposed to help a sore throat. Anyway, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. But I had someone on my tour the other day from Puerto Rico. She's like, oh, I saw it all the time growing up. And I was like, oh, did you try it? She's like, no. No, do you know anything about medicinal purposes? She's like, no. So, anyway, it's none of the goods for you. But when you come back to see the wax gourds, I can tell you all about it. And after I have my deep fried squash flowers. Darn fans are so loud. Those things difficult right here. Okay, now you all know how excited I get about moving stuff. I'm intimidating, I tell you. Yeah, so in here, we're growing fish. This is where we practice aquaculture, which is more or less fish farming. Now, actually, aquaculture is growing anything that grows in water in an agriculture setting. So it could be fish for food, it could be aquatic plants, it could be fish tank fish, whatever. Anyway, one of the big ideas of aquaculture is we want to find a crop that we can use every bit of. So an example is eels here, which are not very active. That's right. With eels, you can use the skin to make belts or wallets. You can eat the meat, and everything else will get recycled into making bone meal fertilizer, making pellets to feed more eels, something, but every bit of it's used. So it's a real important concept. So if we're going to put anything into it, we want to get as much back as we can. So that also applies to our next crop over here, which are the cutest little alligators you ever saw. Yeah, for all these guys, we feed them pellets, and there's different pellets formulated for different animals. Yeah. It tastes pretty good too. Yeah, actually, for all the fish here, for our tilapia, we're going to see the catfish over here and some of the sturgeon. We send those off to the Coral Reef restaurant over at the Living Seas. And we actually had a fish fry the other day for some of the interns, so I got to try some of the tilapia. We used to have yellow perch. They're really good. Anyway, that's not here nor there. Anyway, back to the alligators here. Now these guys, most are about 6 months old. Some are the runts of the previous year, so they're about a year and a half. Now we're going to grow these guys to like 4 feet long, somewhere there. And then we're going to take them back to the alligator farm where they're on loan from and get a new crop in. Now, has anyone ever had alligator meat? Tell people. Alligator meat only comes from the tail. And alligator skin only comes from the belly side from rib to rib. And everything else is recycled, like I was saying before, into making more fertilizer or pellets or something. Now these guys are kind of a success story. In 1967, American alligators were put on the endangered list. Then thanks to a lot of programs, a lot of laws cutting down hunting, and a lot of breeding programs, we've actually got the American alligators back, and there's about 1.5 million in Florida today. So they really came back strong. So while you're here in Florida, you can wander around, maybe you'll find some. I don't think they'll be as cute as these guys. Not so dumb. Anyway, I get to hold one of these the other day. They feel really neat. Their belly side's kind of, it's really smooth and kind of squishy. But these guys are really vicious. They really hate one of the interns. And every time she walks by, they actually jump off that ledge and try and get her. So, I don't know why they don't like her, but that's right. Now in this tank here, we have tilapia. Now I had tilapia the other day at Red Lobster, and I tried some of these ones as well. I think they're real good fish. But what's really great about these fish is, well, one of the great things anyway, is that they do really well in large numbers, so really high densities, which is something you really want to find with an aquaculture fish. Now in this tank right here, I can hold them without transfer over there. But my guess in here, this is about 800 fish. But these guys do really well at high density, so they're okay with that. Now, in port tilapia, if you give them 1.5 pounds of food, they'll make 1 pound of fish. If you compare it to cows take about 8 pounds of food to make 1 pound of cow. So these guys are much better at converting what we give them to meat. So again, look at sustainable agriculture. We give them a little, we get a lot back. So it's real important to fish for that. Does everyone want to feed these guys? Alright. Oh yeah, they're great. They're great fish. Alright, if you want to feed these guys, you just put your hands out here. Then we can. Alright, don't throw it in yet. We'll do it all together here. Alright, we're going to throw it all together. Huh? What is it? Just tell us. These guys are here. Go ahead.
Now, how far down did these tanks go? Are they really big?
These tanks here are about 3 feet deep. Alright, so what we're going to do here is I need to count to that with a swimming pool.
Okay.
I need to count to 3. Now, on 3, everyone's going to toss it in. And I would recommend don't throw it here. Throw it a little bit further out. Alright? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
I wondered how they actually that was.
It's a great crop today. I love these fish. That's my favorite thing to do is feed these guys. Anyway, we're going to be tasty.
We're supposed to be.
Over here, more tilapia. As we're passing by, you can look at their, you can smile at them, wave.
Oh, there you are.
We're all over down there.
I never seen them before I got here, but yeah, they're out of the fish. I tell you, you should just give it to her. You know everything about everything.
That's what people say about Joe. Nah. I like it.
Okay, now in here, this is our Tropics Greenhouse. Now, if you want to, you mind filling it over here, we can all kind of fill in this area. Now, the idea in here we're trying to show is the idea of biodiversity. Now, on this earth, there's thousands and thousands of types of plants. And there's lots more types of insects, but I won't go into that. But all the plants are good for something. I mean, whether it's the plant that I got my thornless gene from, or whether it's the, can't even think, whether it's the plant that's a magical cure for cancer, everything is good for something. And so we never really want to eliminate plants, and that's what we're trying to show here by having all these different types of plants in such a small area. So I'm going to talk about a few here. Now, first crop I have on both sides of me here are bananas. Now, all these bananas came from our Biotechnology Lab originally. So remember we saw how small those guys were before, they got a lot bigger. We actually just transplanted these ones in here last Tuesday. So they've been there almost a week right there. And this bunch of fruit there is actually off one of the banana plants we pulled out to put that one in. So we grew this one here. Now for bananas, the way they work is they're actually a banana plant, they're not a banana tree. So if you look at this one over here, those are all actually stems on one plant. And so stems will come up and form a bunch of fruit, and after it forms a bunch of fruit, it'll never produce again. So we just take it, chop that stem down, and let another one grow up in its place. Now, a plant that's kind of similar to that, we'll walk off on the stand, are these pineapples here. Now the pineapples, you can see they're starting to form out of there. You can see the fruit forming on top. Now the pineapples will produce one fruit as well, and then they'll die back. And then another sucker will come up and take its place. Now if you guys want to produce your own pineapple at home, you can buy one from the store and cut off that top green part and plant it right in the sand. It actually has preformed roots, and so if you water it from the top, it'll actually, those roots will form and make a new plant for you. So by doing that, you can get a different plant from Mickey's Mini Gardens. So you can have your own pineapple plant that you grew from one from the store. You can plant your plants in a teepee-like formation and have another plant from the Mickey's Mini Garden. It'll really be hot stuff. Everyone will think you're really cool. So anyway, that's all right. Now, over here, this is passion fruit. Now, does anyone know why it's called passion fruit?
The seeds inside, or?
No. And right here, you can actually see this is some of the passion fruit we've got here. This one's actually really light. I don't know why that is. But anyway, if you guys want to pass this around there, you can see some of our passion fruit that we grew here. Now, the reason it's called passion fruit is actually based on the flower. A lot of people think it's an aphrodisiac, but it's not true. Now, there's no real good flowers to see here, but it's got a really gorgeous flower. And when somebody was first naming the flower, they saw they had 3 bits of something, and so they said that represented the Holy Trinity, and 11 bits of something, and that's supposed to represent the disciples. So all in all, the whole thing is the Passion of Christ. So anyway, I don't know, that's why I was named that, so it's pretty interesting. But if you guys want to stick to an aphrodisiac story, that's okay too.
Tastes good?
I haven't actually tried these ones.
This is not right. I need to know.
I really don't know. And Brenda was actually telling me. Yeah. But with these guys, we actually, with some of our crops in here, since we sprayed a little harsher chemicals on them, we actually, it's legal to eat them. Like you can't, so I don't know, so I haven't tried our passion fruit. I like other passion fruit, but I haven't tried ours, so. Now, let's see, over there, you see those rock terraces there. Next to the plant, there's that big grassy plant there, and that's actually rice. So next to it, there's a little short plant, which you really can't see from behind that terrace there. That's actually peanuts. Now peanuts are just like the clover we saw before, so they're a legume. They put the nitrogen back into the soil. And so by using the rice and the peanuts, after we pull the peanuts out, we can move the rice over to where they were, and we can use that nitrogen they had. And that's crop rotation. But actually there's another system of sustainable agriculture right there. It's been practiced in Southern Asia for over 2,000 years. Now that's actually just rock terraces themselves. Now if you can imagine that rock terrace on the side of a mountain, when the rain comes down and tries to erode away that soil, but the edges of the rock terrace are kind of lifted up a little bit so that the soil can't wash away. It just stays where it's supposed to be. So you keep the soil there to keep on growing crops in. So with that idea, you can really see that sustainable agriculture is not a new thing. It's been going on for a long period of time, but it's not something we can afford to let up on now. It's something we really need to kick into high gear. With things like that of preventing erosion, but also preventing the wearing out of our farmland, keeping nutrients into the soil, cutting down the effect of pests, and with new and exciting ways to grow food, like our cool moving crops, we'll hopefully be able to feed everyone in the future. So anyway, that's kind of the end of the tour. I'm going to walk back with you, I'm not just going to leave you. But if you guys
can leave us. We'll start tasting everything.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't give it to you. Sounds pretty good, actually. Are there any more questions in here before we head out?
You end up misting the whole place and all, or is that just sprinklers for?
I think they're fire sprinklers, my guess. Everything here is watered under the sand. We use drip tape, except for the bananas. You can see the bananas have the above ground micro sprinklers right there. And that's actually what they use in citrus here in Florida as well. But everything else has tape that delivers nutrients directly to the roots for each of these plants. And actually, another really cool plant I didn't talk about is the really tall peach palm there. Now, the peach palm is the #1 producer of heart of palm in the world. Heart of palm? Like it? Heard of it? Tasted it? Well, it comes from the top part of palm trees. It tastes like artichokes. Kind of put in salads, pretty good. And the reason they get mostly from peach palms is that with most palm trees, if you cut off the top part, like us and humans, you don't do very well. But for these guys, you cut off that top part, it'll just grow right back. So they're real good for that. And the other thing with this tree is it makes these little orange fruits. And the orange fruits are supposed to be the most nutritionally balanced fruit anywhere. It has a lot of the basic amino acids humans need. It has carbohydrates, it has water. You can actually live just by eating these fruits. However, I heard they taste really bad. But I don't really know, because it's hard to see, but there's big spikes coming off the side of that tree. So we've never actually enter it, make it up there, and make it back down alive. So I can't tell you how they taste. Huh?
You haven't volunteered to try it.
Not yet, but I still have a couple months here, so maybe I'll see you. But anyway, so okay, we're gonna keep on heading back. So make sure if you have any more questions, then you guys skip over. They put into a lot of
the gill plant and the natural oil there. You know. And then it's so easy to make this like a 3.5 hour great sauce. Now, I noticed that some people were noticing the cooling air is coming out of here. Now, it's not air conditioning. The way we do it is actually, it's called a fan and pad system. Now the fans are over there, and these are our pads. Now we're going to keep on walking here, I'll talk about it. Now what the pad is the pad is actually cardboard covered in Teflon. And there's water dripping between the layers of cardboard there. And as the fans are on, they pull the air through the water dripping through. And as the water comes out here, it evaporates. So through evaporative cooling, it cools down the greenhouse. Now, back at the University of Illinois, we have these fan and pad systems as well, but our pads are really old and they're covered in mold and slimy. So if you touch one, your hand will feel slimy for like 3 days. It's really awful. So I like these ones a lot better. And up ahead of us there, that's Brenda. And Brenda takes care of the Tropic Greenhouse. So. And for these cucumbers here, you can see on top of them, there's that stuff. And what that is actually bran. And bran is another part of my work here, and that's actually what I raise the predator mites in. So I raise the predator mites in that, and I sprinkle on top of the plants, and those predator mites are these rod mites, spider mites, and thrips. So, they're real good that way. Cucumber stuff, I'll talk about that real quick, and then. Okay. Now, after going on this tour, I'm sure you guys are like, man, this hydroponic stuff is so cool. I would love to do hydroponics at home. Well, we happen to have these systems here. These are some examples of what you can do at home. This right here is our 2-stacker. I always forget the name. Anyway, double stack, whatever. And what this is down at the bottom here, there's a big tank of the nutrient solution, and stacked up the top are these pots, just like we saw at the Vertigrow Tower. Now, so just stack them up to the top here. There's a pump in here, and up at the top here, the nutrient solution is pumped up here, and it drips down and takes care of all these plants. It's totally automatic, my kind of gardening. Just fill it up and let it go. I'm not too good with plants, I'm better with bugs. I like that too. That's pretty cool. And you can also do this the manual way, if you wanted to. More work. I wouldn't be into it, but you can see it, you can produce a lot of different plants that way. But if you are going to do this, you have to get special hydroponic fertilizers. Now here at the Land, we use a special 2-part hydroponic fertilizer. And the reason it's in 2 different parts is that there's certain chemicals that when you mix them together, they kind of form a sludge and it won't work. So these don't get mixed together until right when they're about to be put into our plants. So now, do you have a fish tank at home? No? Oh, do you have fish in there? See? So this is ideal for you here.
Yeah.
You can turn it into
Mike has one.
your own hydroponic thing there. Pretty cool. Now, another thing to impress everyone with, you have your plants from that teepee-like formation, your pineapple plant, and your other things from Mickey's Mini Garden, and your fish tank hydroponic kit. Man, you'll be cool. Now, what this is just like those lettuce raceways we saw. This is styrofoam floating on top of the nutrient solution, and again, there's the bubbler down at the bottom to keep the oxygen into the water so the plants don't drown. Otherwise, it's totally automatic. And the reason we have this on the outside here is because it cuts down algae growth. And that's the same reason that the ceiling's red in the aqua cell. So, anyway, I think it's a pretty cool science fair experiment. My kids are going to be doing this someday. So. Now, I have a handout. If anyone would like a handout, you don't have to take one if you don't want to. But the handout talks about the fish tank system, and on the back is a website where they have more information about these systems and a lot of other hydroponic systems. So if you guys want one of these, you're welcome to have one.
More than the other one.
Yeah.
Wrong one? No, that's okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna keep on heading on. And just so you know, I think I was looking at this system and the price of that, and I think it's about $180.
Where do you buy it at?
You can buy it on the website at the back, the Hydro Merchants. Yeah, that system is actually owned by Vertigro. I mean, like I was talking about the Vertigro Towers, it was invented by that same guy. So he's a real nice guy too. His name's Tim. So. Oh yeah, and if you want to poke sensitive plant again, there's your chance. And we actually have seeds for the sensitive plant out in the gift shop, so you can go home and plant your own. Pretty exciting. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so we're just gonna head back through again. And as we're walking back, you can all admire the beautiful walls. Because, unlike on stage where everything's pretty, they don't make things pretty back here. That horrible green color, I don't know. Yeah.
When we were in compost bits, ripening in the sun.
Wait till you get more off stage. Liquid nitrogen. It's always fun because in a lot of my research we would feed stuff to insects and then we would take out the insects' insides and then we'd have to freeze it right away. So we just have these big containers of liquid nitrogen. And then after we're done with the project, we still have all liquid nitrogen. So I tell you, we did all kinds of great stuff. Those were the days, I tell you.
Now, I have a vegetable garden, nice one at home.
Okay.
Now, when
We can all kind of get it this way here. So
when my
Brenda's
cucumbers get this mildew on it, what do I do with it?
turn.
I don't want to grow bugs.
She don't want to grow bugs.
Well, like I was talking about before with our cucumbers, they're naturally resistant. You can try and find a variety like that. They do sell those in catalogs. That just
I just recently graduated from the university.
anyway, so they're just naturally resistant, and that keeps some of that off. There are a lot of things you can spray on plants. Is it powdery mildew or just some kind of thing? You're not sure.
It looks
I
like
know
white,
everyone's
yeah.
from, and
Yeah,
if
like,
you're gardening and we like
For our powdery mildew, let's say we spray.
okay.
I think we use a copper compound here. You can, if you did a search on the internet, there you can
It's just a
find.
question since
Yeah.
you talked about it.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we use copper compounds here, and that would probably take care of it. But I'd say, yeah, if you look for the resistant varieties, you might do better. Okay. Are there any other last minute questions?
You took the boat tour?
Okay. Then we're
Thank
gonna.
you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you all got to come.
Thanks a
All
lot.
right. And where you guys going?
Yeah, open up the door here.
Okay, not too far away.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day here.
Thank you.
Get back in the nice cool.
Very
Oh,
cool.
yeah, air conditioning. Where are we on now?